Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011 he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
I talk about the cartels and the Asian cartels, and the Asian cartels are a criminal network, and I see that men, they have, the Asians I know have nervous conversations, and on the outward like, oh, he's making it up, the cartels don't exist. Al Jazeera did an expose of the most powerful cartel in Bangladesh, and its connections to politics, and I want to share this with you. So let me share this 2-minute promo video. The full Al Jazeera video is available on YouTube. It's about an hour long or something. It's worth watching. It's more than worth watching. But I want to play you the 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll link it to all the issues that we care about and matter to us.
General Aziz Ahmed, head of the Bangladesh Army and the man appointed by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to defend the country. Our surveillance team follows the general to Malaysia and discover that he's also guarding his own secret. Waiting for him is his brother, Haris Ahmed. He's a convicted murderer and an international fugitive from a notorious Dhaka crime gang. Bangladesh police put him on their most wanted list. Another brother is also there. Joseph was on death row but freed after he was pardoned by President Abdul Hamid in 2018.
Okay. Oh my God.
We then track down the fourth Ahmed brother, Anis. As with Haris, he's on the run after fleeing a conviction for the same killing of a political activist, Mustafa Rahman, in Dhaka back in 1996. The men get a diplomatic escort from the Bangladesh High Commission. Their bond with Sheikh Hasina began when the brothers worked as her bodyguards in the 1990s. In a covertly recorded call, General Aziz says the Prime Minister recently praised the loyalty of the brothers while speaking to prominent members of her ruling party. Haris has been in hiding for 20 years, protected by the general. Before, he was part of a crime gang on the streets of Dhaka. Now he says he can exert influence over state institutions. We found Haris in Hungary, where he runs numerous businesses under a false identity. He tells our undercover source that he has Sheikh Hasina's support.
এটা 7.2 million euro. 7.2 million বাংলা কোথায়? প্রধানমন্ত্রী সুলতানে কইছে যে আরি ওখানে যদি কিছু করতে চাও করো আমরা হেল্প করব আর কি চাই?
Haris also acts as a middleman for business deals in Bangladesh. The man on the left is Hassan's business associate. They think they're talking to a fund manager in London who wants to invest millions in a Bangladesh hotel.
To do something in Bangladesh is really great idea because he is very well connected with the high officials, very connected with the government, especially the Prime Minister herself.
But the meeting is a sting, set up by Al Jazeera's investigative unit.
20% for all negotiation.
Hassan says he takes 20% from every deal.
This is his brother actually. Basically at this moment, his elder brother is running the country, in fact, because our Prime Minister leave everything to Army Chief to run the country for the big developments.
Al Jazeera invited all those involved, including Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and General Aziz Ahmed to respond to its findings. None did so. Will Thorne, Al Jazeera.
This pandemic is crippling families with their...
Okay, so there is a video I wanted to share with you about the cartel. This is the Bangladeshi cartel, linked to the Prime Minister, operating across the world. And what has the Bangladeshi cartel operating across the world got to do with the UK, you think, or even Oldham? I'll slowly, step by step, get you there. Bear with me. Channel 4.
Should a British parliamentary candidate receive campaign support from an organisation linked to an oppressive foreign government? Tonight, questions are being asked about an operation to support Labour's candidate in Hampstead and Kilburn in North London. Tulip Siddiq is the niece of the Bangladeshi Prime Minister, whose government is accused of serious human rights violations. Channel 4 News has seen evidence that the UK wing of Bangladesh's ruling party has been running a campaign to support Tulip Siddiq's re-election. Ms Siddiq claims this is categorically untrue. Fatima Manji reports.
This is the campaign headquarters for the Labour candidate in Hampstead and Kilburn. Her re-election campaign is being coordinated outside her own constituency. Channel 4 News has filmed here on a number of occasions in November and December. We've seen the candidate's parliamentary staff coming and going with leaflets throughout the campaign. But we've also seen political leaders of the UK Awami League, whose stated mission is to support Bangladesh's ruling party, here at Tulip Siddiq's campaign office. And that raises questions about the nature of her campaign and whether Britain's electoral law is fit for purpose. Labour's candidate for Hampstead and Kilburn, Tulip Siddiq, is the niece of Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She makes no secret of this and has toured Westminster with her. Hasina's party, the Awami League, run a brutal authoritarian government in Bangladesh, and it's accused of serious human rights violations.
There's been extrajudicial killings. There has been crossfire killings, as they call it. There have been a spate of disappearances. All of them have not been answered. Torture, the fact that security forces have gone and kneecapped members, student wing members of protesters.
After being elected in 2015, Tulip Siddiq explicitly thanked the Awami League for their help getting her elected as a UK MP.
আপনাদের সাহায্য ছাড়া আমি কখনোই ব্রিটিশ এমপি হিসাবে এখানে দাঁড়াতে পারতাম না।
She then credited the party for her victory again at an Awami League event in Westminster in 2017.
এই জন্য আপনাদেরকে ধন্যবাদ জানাতে চাই। আপনাদের সাপোর্ট ছাড়া আমি কিন্তু আমার নির্বাচন জিততে পারতাম না।
The three men behind her here are leaders of the UK Awami League. And some of these men appear in this 2019 Facebook post by the UK Awami League wishing Tulip Siddiq a happy birthday. In a previous blog entry, Ms Siddiq says she's appeared as an Awami League spokesperson, although she's since deleted this post. Yet Tulip Siddiq seems conflicted. Having explicitly thanked the Awami League, she's also denied having any political connections with the party.
I am not Bangladeshi. Are you aware that I'm a British MP?
And yet in this general election, Channel 4 News has obtained evidence that Tulip Siddiq's campaign is being supported by an operation run by the Awami League in the UK. In this Facebook post, an Awami League supporter says the UK Awami League leaders are giving guidance and direction to the planning and subsequent work of the election campaign of Tulip Siddiq. Another post says the niece of Sheikh Hasina is fighting for re-election. As before, to make her victorious, the respected president of the UK Awami League will provide direction. The Secretary of Industry and Commerce will provide the strategy for action at ground level. And here is that secretary outside the campaign office. And other Awami League UK officials filmed on a number of occasions. Channel 4 News has been told that the Awami League UK has been running up to 10 different campaign teams. Some of Tulip Siddiq's parliamentary staff have also been regularly in and out at the same time as UK Awami League activists. This is Oliver Denton Lieberman, Tulip Siddiq's chief of staff, pictured with her in Bangladesh. And here he is with a senior UK Awami League leader. So is Tulip Siddiq's office working with the UK Awami League? We asked her parliamentary staff.
Is that Labour Party office you were in? What involvement do you have with the UK Awami League?
They repeatedly refused to answer any of our questions.
You work for Tulip Siddiq, and you've got nothing to say to us. What's going on?
We don't take Channel 4.
After walking about, apparently aimlessly around the back streets, Tulip Siddiq's staff decided to get on a bus.
Anything? We've come back to the office to see what's going on and if anyone's inside. No one's answered the door, but there is a little gap in these papered up boards, and if you take a peek inside,
you can see Tulip Siddiq's campaign operation. Channel 4 News has also obtained photographs showing UK Awami League officials inside the office. There's no suggestion that Tulip Siddiq's campaign is doing anything illegal. And it's not clear what role the UK Awami League play in Bangladeshi politics. But how appropriate is their active involvement here? Or that of any other foreign political party in the British election process? Channel 4 News has previously reported on the UK wing of India's ruling party, the BJP, supporting the Conservatives.
I think this is certainly a matter of political judgment rather than legal judgment. And that's because we want to encourage people to get involved in politics. And the opinion of whether a group is a good group or a bad group may change from time to time. Fundamentally, this is about voters making a decision based on the knowledge that they have, rather than the courts getting involved.
I think the question really is, where does a Labour MP, any Labour MP, sit on human rights? And if they're going to affiliate with a party that is now governing a country and is presiding over human rights violations, then they need to distance themselves or at least ask questions.
In a statement to this programme last year, the Labour Party told us it is very concerned about the overall human rights picture in Bangladesh, including accusations against the security forces, the intimidation and arrest of journalists and political opponents. Tonight, in a response on behalf of Tulip Siddiq and Labour, the party says it stands by its statement from last year, but that Labour does not have a specific stance on the Awami League. And members of the Bangladeshi community who are affiliated to the Awami League may be supporting other Labour candidates or even candidates from other parties. When we asked them about the UK Awami League running a campaign for Tulip Siddiq, they said this is categorically untrue. The Awami League UK have not commented. Tulip Siddiq's campaign focuses on her experience of life in North London. But this evening, questions about her links to Bangladeshi politics have once again been raised.
Okay, thank you for bearing with me, but I think that was really, really important because from the beginning, I've been making reference to the Asian criminal cartels, and I've been making reference to networks from overseas who are involved in coordinating votes and postal votes and stuff like that. So you can see the relevance there. You've all gone quiet on me, so please someone say something. But I find it remarkable. Now Tulip Siddiq is an MP. She's now an MP, but her aunt is the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and the UK Awami League is essentially a cartel. It's a massive cartel. In fact, the OBA are linked to the UK Awami League. It's an affiliate. The OBA cartel that I consistently reference, based in Coldust. Ask them. Ask any of them what's going on there. But the question the Channel 4 reporter asked in the middle of that, is Britain's electoral law fit for purpose? Is Britain's electoral law fit for purpose? Unfortunately, with these how can I explain it how can I express it without coming across as though I've got a prejudice here? No, it's backwards. It's backward, oppressive politics. These dirty political campaigns, postal vote fraud, intimidation, all of these things we've left behind, or we'd like to think we've left behind in our country. But they're being reintroduced. They're being reintroduced by these people. Where do you think the postal vote nonsense comes from? Where do you think the electoral fraud, or mass scale electoral fraud, comes from? We're being overrun. Our electoral system is being overrun by the dodgy politics of places elsewhere in the world. And you can see the consequence of that. You can, all of you who live in my town or towns like mine, can see the consequence of that. You can see the politics that take place. You can see how one group affiliates with one political party and another group goes and affiliates with another political party. You can all see that. Yes, Karen, isn't it just? Watching that is like watching Glodick again. I've got more for you. Let me play the next video. And again, these are reputable sources. These aren't the rantings of a madman as they portray me, or want to portray me. Channel 4 News? Al Jazeera? It gets worse for Tulip Siddiq. Okay, so I'm presuming I'll just carry on. So what then took place, sorry, I just need to bring this up so you can see it. She had to apologise for the remark that it was considered threatening. Childbirth is hard. Thanks, Daisy, for coming. Hope you have a great birth, because child labour is hard. She is a UK MP. Now, not only she's a UK MP, and what is clear to me is that the Awami League mobilised their cartels in the UK, and they're running up to 10 campaigns, remember, according to Channel 4. They mobilised the power and influence, and the Awami League, the Prime Minister, and the first Al Jazeera article, gangsters, goons, murderers. That's what these people are. And what has it got to do with Oldham? What has it got to do with Oldham? Ask Jim McMahon. Ignore the circle person. The circle person was just a person's house that Jim McMahon was nibbling samosas on just before he had his this picture taken. You'll see next to him Abdul Jabbar. Ask Abdul Jabbar and all of these guys here, Bilder Malikster, the other local councillor. These guys are Awami League affiliates. 100% Awami League affiliates win that picture. This is what you people are dealing with in Oldham. This is the cartels and the power of the cartels. The cartels are a global network. The OBWay cartel has links in Tower Hamlets, and the links in Tower Hamlets have links in Bangladesh directly. When these white politicians go to these events, many of them I don't even think realise what the events are, as long as the samosas they're nibbling are tasty. It's the same in Pakistan. Why do you think Debbie Abrahams and her links with Kashmir is the way it is? And why do you think Jim McMahon, pleading ignorance, the council claimed he didn't know who he was having his picture taken with. He killed someone. Here he is, killed someone. This is after he'd killed someone. He's out there promoting his business. Do you think the promotion of that business was accidental? Even if Jim McMahon didn't know, do you think no one else in the council knew what was going on? This lad, he's called Bullet, by the way. He goes by the street name of Bullet. Bullet followed me on Facebook, then unfollowed me on Facebook. There's a shadow following, I think, was meant to be a warning. My advice to Bullet and all of the others is stay away from politicians, stay away from the politics of our town. Do whatever business you're doing in whatever places you want to do them in, but stop interfering in the running of our town. Stop interfering, or I'll keep exposing you and all of us like you. There's a reason why Jim McMahon is endorsing Neil Wilby, who has claimed I'm a police informant. There's a reason why Jenny Harrison is following and supporting Neil Wilby and the others. They have been exposed for their links and their associations. Now, they can claim they knew nothing about any of this, but I find that hard to believe. I put this up on Facebook earlier in this week. It was a statement I released regarding Councillor Riaz Ahmed. Now, without a shadow of a doubt, the Labour Party have questions to answer around the treatment of Kaiser and it's clear to me that he was involved in a stitch-up. Now, Kaiser might be want to abuse me and conspire with Wilby and others and attack me, but that's fine. I think Kaiser's got issues himself, and he can attack me all he wants. I have no doubt whatsoever, though, that when a newspaper reporter writes a series of lies, is sued, and the Oldham Cron has to pay out £50,000 or thereabouts, and that's pretty much why the Oldham Cron went bust. And then that reporter walks into a job at the town hall at the civic centre, you know that's there was some form of coordination there. But putting that to one side, what's very clear to me is the individual that I referenced multiple times regarding Riaz. The individual wasn't a minor, and I never claimed he was a minor, but Riaz felt that my post implied it was a minor. And there's no need for me to have a fight with Riaz over this, so if he felt that, I apologised for that, as I have done in this statement. So that's that, as far as I'm concerned. Now, people's private lives, as long as they're legal, and I've maintained this even with Arooj Shah, as long as your private lives are legal, I have no interest in your private lives. Moving on to local matters. Grandpa Green's ice cream shop devastated by weekend closure. The part closure of a popular family-run ice cream parlour this weekend because of COVID health restrictions has been described as devastating by the business. Now, the only other business that I know of that was closed in Oldham using COVID legislation was the pub up in Upper Mill. So that's my understanding. Councillor Arooj Shah, so this is the COVID queen. Our staff have visited Grandpa Green's on a number of occasions and the business owners have worked with us. But over the last few weeks, we've received numerous complaints about large numbers of people congregating around the site and not social distancing, potentially helping to spread coronavirus and thereby creating a clear threat to public health. One of the main issues here is people travelling from outside the area to visit, which means it is getting really busy at weekends. Having looked at the evidence available to us again, and having taken advice from public health colleagues, we have now taken the decision to close the business on Saturdays and Sundays. So that is Arooj Shah's statement on the closure of Grandpa Green's. Now I take my daughter there. In fact, I know the daughter of the owners there, and I have nothing but admiration of the business they've built up. And now I know there's issues locally, people supporting or not. And my issue isn't whether the closure of Grandpa Green's is right or wrong. My issue is that whilst Arooj Shah is quick to close Grandpa Green's, and remember, the reason, these are her words, large numbers of people congregating around the site and not social distancing, her own words. One of my guys has sent me this. Now, the Muslims here, and there's one or two who do openly follow me, Moyeb and Abdul Basit Berti, openly follow me and post on here as well. They will share with you that on Fridays, it is customary for families, traditional for families, after Friday prayers to go to the various graveyards, the cemeteries, and pay their respects to past loved ones. One of my friends has sent me this footage he took, and he's concerned that in the graveyards around the Muslim graves, the exact same thing that Grandpa Green's was closed for is taking place. Chadderton Cemetery, Grinnickers, wherever you on a Friday after prayers, it's packed, no social distancing, all of the things that Grandpa Green's was found to be at fault for. Where is the council intervention there? Families travelling from out of the area, no social distancing. These aren't the same households. He also talked about not just the state of the ground and stuff, but how 4x4s and stuff were driving over the gravestones, and chaos at these cemeteries. If the council is prepared to shut Grandpa Green's, surely they have to take intervention, particularly when this demographic, their own statistics have shown that this particular demographic have a higher number of COVID cases in the areas, and this particular demographic has a higher chance of serious illness if they catch COVID. Surely to safeguard the Pakistani Bangladeshi Muslim community in this town, they need to shut down the graveyards or limit access to the graveyards on a Friday afternoon. You can see the cars in the distance queuing up. And what my friend said to me was, "You don't believe me, Raja? Go on a Friday. Go on a Friday." In fact, let me just show you where I've just paused it. You can see all the cars double parked and stuff. He said, "Go on a Friday and you'll see complete disregard for COVID, complete disregard for social distancing, and cars driving over gravestones and stuff to get in and get out." If you shut Grandpa Green's, Arooj Shah, what are you going to do about the cemeteries? Or is it as we all suspect, or not all, well, all of us here anyway, is it as we suspect? Just in the same way where the parking attendants ignore Glodick, your COVID inspectors are going to ignore these areas too. People see the hypocrisy. People see the lies, the double standards. And if there is a race problem in this town, that race problem is not the consequence of the prejudices of the people of my town. It's the consequences of the double standards and hypocrisy of the council and the Labour Party politicians that rely on a cartel-controlled bloc vote to keep them in power. White Labour Party politicians, I might add. The Oldham Times reported Oldham will join with other councils to set out places for everyone plan. What is the places for everyone plan? They like to use all of these phrases. Remember the Greater Manchester Spatial Framework? If all of you remember, I'm sure all of you remember the Greater Manchester Spatial Framework was destroyed by Stockport Council. The agreement was all councils have got to agree with it, and if one says no, and that's essentially about building on our green belt. It's nothing more complicated than that. Andy Burnham wants to build on our green belt. Got nothing to do with affordable homes because it's to do with income generation for councils by building on the green belt. And Oldham will join with the other 8 councils and create Andy Burnham's version part 2 of how they can force through building on our green belt. So the Places for Everyone, what a nice name, Places for Everyone, is about building on our green belt, and it's something that the Labour Party supports. It's something that Sean Fielding is an active campaigner for and a supporter of, just as he is of the incinerator in Brighton that he refuses to speak out against, because he is dependent on Andy Burnham to give him a wage. He's dependent on his girlfriend working for Andy Burnham. Arooj Shah sits on those committees. Howard Sykes, it's all a mess. They all sit on these Greater Manchester committees and they all draw down a healthy allowance from there. And so what is a bit of green belt in our town, or what is poisonous gases and the building of a chimney, the height of the civic centre? As long as we're getting paid, eh? Next. You'll see, I think it was on TV today as well, the the two ladies is hired. The two new press officers are doing their job. I think what's clearly they've been hired to do is get is to get Sean Fielding out in the press as much as possible. Be his PR, basically the PR officers. So the Oldham council taxpayer has essentially paid for two new PR officers for Sean Fielding, who are out there getting them on the BBC. The council have funded the Oldham Times and the other local newspapers. They refuse to say how much they funded these newspapers for, and these newspapers are running PR campaigns. Now, council leader Sean Fielding is volunteering to support the vaccination effort. So he was out there in Failsworth near the medical centre. The problem is, volunteering is what you tend to do in your own free time, isn't it? That's my understanding of volunteering. Yeah. No, this wasn't a Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday office hours when he's getting paid by the council. So I'm interested to see how they can use volunteering. And he was volunteering at a time when the government advice is for us to all act as we have the virus and avoid being out and about. Well, Sean Fielding has clearly ignored that advice, like his advice ignored every other bit of government advice around social distancing. You'll remember him and his girlfriend went out to Derbyshire when they had a park on the doorstep. He went on holiday to Lanzarote against Foreign Office advice, and him and Angela Rayner went out campaigning when the pandemic was at a height and the rules were around no more than 2 people gathering. So they've ignored all of the rules. The issue here with Sean Fielding in his photograph, he should be wearing gloves, he should be swapping the gloves, he should have hand sanitizer every time he passes a pen and a paper over to someone. That mask he's got on around his face should actually be a different standard of mask. It's just a joke. It's just PR. It's just PR. And it's disgraceful that the Oldham Times is doing this, but the Oldham Times and Nick Jackson, the disgraced Nick Jackson, they're clearly being paid by the council. They won't deny it, or they won't confirm how much they're being paid, and the council won't confirm how much they're being paid. But this is what's taking place. They are using local taxpayers' money whilst cutting vital services to organisations, whilst funding the re-election campaign of Sean Fielding, because that's what this is. Meanwhile, hidden away, this is the local government and social care ombudsman. So the ombudsman has reached a decision. It was just hidden away about Oldham Council. The ombudsman found fault by the council on Ms. F's complaint of it failing to notify her of a neighbour's planning application. A newspaper press notice gave no deadline for submissions. The site notice was not erected in the location residents might see it, and it failed to keep records of its locations. So that's the council. It also failed to show it considered the need to restrict potential commercialisation of the facilities. I reckon they agreed action remedies any outstanding injustices, but that's irrelevant. The council has been found at fault by the ombudsman. Hidden. So for those who are asking, I'm still waiting on the Information Commissioner's Office to make a judgment. They've been at it or been delaying dealing with it for now. I think it's been over a year from when I first submitted the FOI that the council refusing to answer. They're claiming they won't answer any of my FOIs because of what I will do with the information once I have it. That's more or less the words of the council. Yeah, open and transparent. Indeed. I see many of you saying you saw Sean Fielding out and about. Now,
female imams are there?
No, just hold on a second before I get onto this. I think the planning department are worse than horrendous in Oldham. Debbie, I think the planning department is corrupt. I don't think I'm the only person in our town that shares that opinion. I think they take backhanders. I think brown envelopes are regularly passed stuffed with cash. Why else did the head of planning get suspended for gross misconduct and then was allowed to resign? And no one in the council will say what went on. I will put it into the public domain, Ian, and contrary to what Sean Fielding has claimed, we may be rabble, but there's more than 9 people who listen in to what we share every week. They like their ale too. Indeed. Bashforth. Barrelgate Bashforth. I enjoy that. I enjoy that because he thinks he can threaten me. And he thinks, in some way I'll be intimidated by him, but I'll keep saying it because it's true. He's a self-confessed bootlegger. The police should be arresting Steve Bashforth, the Royton councillor, because he's admitted to taking a barrel of beer on sale or return. They're his own words. That makes him a bootlegger. He's not got a licence to sell alcohol. Can you imagine if I decided to go and sell alcohol? Well, the jihadists would have a fun day, wouldn't they? But apart from that, it'd be illegal because I don't have a licence. Yes, Gary, they are utter corrupt. They're so corrupt, they've forgotten what it's like to be not corrupt. From councillors who refuse to answer questions as to whether they filled in the right forms in the right time and they were eligible to stand as councillors, to councillors walking out of restaurants carrying a barrel of ale, to those wishing Merry Christmas to the Pakistani voters. Oh God, it just, the list goes on and on and on. It is an institutionally corrupt town, overseen by Jim McMahon and Debbie Abrahams, and to a lesser extent, but still an Oldham MP, Angela Rayner. They refuse to answer questions, and they hide behind allegations of being far right if you so much as stand up to them. Yes, Alison, walking out of council meetings. Walking out of council meetings after they had fixed those council meetings by having prospective Labour Party candidates fill up the time of public questions. Oh, Barrelgate Bashforth. No wonder he's bitter. Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm going to bring something up. It came up yesterday on Women's Hour, and I think part of my role is to also try and contextualize some of the debates taking place nationally to try and inform and shape them at a local level. So if you find this stuff useful, by all means, I'll carry on. If you don't, tell me, and I'll stop by. I think it's useful. Now, the Muslim Council for Great Britain. So this is the organisation that oversee the mosques in the UK. It's like a network, a federation. It's a loose federation. They don't really control any of them, but they offer guidance, and the government promote them. They've appointed a woman in charge, which is amazing. Actually, it's amazing. They've appointed a woman in charge, and she's a young woman, and she was on Women's Hour yesterday. And the woman in charge, or the commentator in charge of Women's Hour, is a woman who's a strange one, really, because her father was convicted for running a network of brothels. So, I don't hold that against her, but that's, that was brought up. And I found that interesting, so I clicked on the stories and I went and looked on. And here, let me play this.
In the UK at the moment, just because I presume we'll get to this more, but representing, of course, women, which you will do as part of this. How many do we have in Britain?
I mean, I think, again, I wouldn't have a clue on these numbers because my role is making sure that we include our affiliates, particularly women, in the work that we are doing and making sure that where our structures as well as the work we do are truly representative. So I think that
do we? Sorry, you don't know. That's fine if you don't know. But do we have female imams in this country?
I mean, again, it's not. Are you referring to chaplains, or are you referring to women that lead the prayer? What are you referring to? And I think
Well, you tell me. I'm genuinely intrigued to know. Of course, female priests have been around for some time. We've also seen the advent of female rabbis in this country. What is the picture for women leading prayer in Britain in Muslim communities?
Well, I think my role isn't really to adjudicate or to examine that part of spirituality. I think where women want to make those choices and where, that these are all religious discussions.
Oh, no, of
Muslim
course.
Council Britain.
It was just, I thought, because the Muslim Council of Britain's played such an important role in getting the number of Muslims, for instance, added to the census. I mean, that was done at the turn of the century, so we actually knew how many Muslims there were. Do we have female imams?
I think what's really important for the Muslim Council of Britain and the work that we do is actually that it's not about defining, or going into these types of questions regarding spirituality, but actually looking at how we can benefit our communities, especially given the pandemic and given,
of course,
the role that everybody needs to be playing.
And we will get to the pandemic. It's just quite striking that you can't sort of answer that question. I recognise it's not a religious or spiritual role.
Exactly. I don't feel like that's within the parameters of my roles and responsibilities, especially as the first elected female representative.
I would have asked a man, but I'm asking you because
just...
you're here.
Okay, so a couple of things there. Zara, first, from my point of view, is to be applauded. Any woman who managed to rise to the top of an organisation such as the Muslim Council of Britain is not just an endorsement of her and her abilities, but also of the small steps the Muslim community in the UK is taking on its journey to equality, because the truth is it has a long way to go. Now, this isn't just an issue for the Muslim community, it's an issue in the Roman Catholic Church, it's still an issue in the Anglican Church, where it's contentious, and it's an issue in it's an Abrahamic issue. All the Abrahamic religions have historically had an issue with women, and these are small steps. But you will have seen how she dodged the question because she didn't want to say none. And then I saw on social media, and friends of mine on social media wanted to focus on the racism, and this woman was apparently being racist by asking these questions. She wasn't being racist. I don't agree that she was asking these questions, and she perhaps shouldn't have been asking the questions in the way she did, but she has every right to ask the questions, and Zara could have answered them better, I think. Well, what's very, very clear is there is an issue in our mosques. I'll go and have a look at the management committees of mosques in Oldham. Go and have a look. Go and have a look at how the segregation takes place. This isn't just about the call to prayer and prayers and men only being in spaces, but in the management and administration of these mosques, there's no reason why women can't be in the management committees. There's no reason why girls can't teach Islamic lessons, Quranic studies to boys, to children, because of children. If we can have Muslim teachers in our primary and secondary schools, female teachers, teaching to boys and girls, surely we can have females in our mosques teaching in the same way. Surely we can have females in the management committees of these mosques. The reason I say this isn't to attack mosques. It's just a simple premise on our journey to equality. If we are to treat women better, if within our communities, and I go back to, how women have been treated historically in our communities, in our Asian communities, the only way to challenge this, to overcome this, is by empowering women. And we need to empower women within our communities. We can't sit inside our Asian communities, our silos, and scream and shout racism to the outside world when we are practicing discriminatory, segregated practices in our own. No. Does that make me a racist? Does that make me a misogynist? I don't think it makes me any of those things. I think I'm consistent with my views and opinions on this. Labour Party candidate for St Mary's, shortlisted to be a Labour Party MP in Macclesfield. Out protesting against a legal, legitimate Oldham business, which was then attacked. A legitimate business in our town that's just won £100 million plus contract from the Ministry of Defence, attacked. Silence. Silence from Sean Fielding. Silence from Debbie Abrahams. Silence from Jim McMahon. In one of its first tests to see whether or not it had taken on the damning report from the Equality and Human Rights Commission that the Labour Party is racist, anti-Semitic. It failed miserably. Do any of you think that if a Muslim-owned business had been attacked in this way, there would be silence from Jim, Debbie, Angela Rayner, Sean Fielding, or any of the councillors? Complete silence. Why? Well, I'll share with you why I think. These politicians care no more. They care no more about white working class girls than they do about the Jewish businesses in our town. Whatever it takes to keep the cartel-controlled bloc vote happy and themselves in power, these white politicians that control our town will do. And in the meantime, they will have you turn on me, and me turn on you, and we turn on each other, whilst they maintain their power. Because that is a tactic of politics in this town. Mark, they know which side their chapati is buttered. It's not bread, lad. It's chapati. Sorry, someone's got their... it's Alison. In fact, I'll put it back up, Alison, so your name comes back up. It is Alison. It is divide and conquer. It is very much divide and conquer. I think that is me more or less done for today. I'll bring up some comments again, and we'll see. We'll have a couple of minutes of a chat. So if anyone's got any questions, let's have the questions, and then I'll round up. So I'll bring up this screen, make this bigger so people can see it. I know nothing about Wolverhampton taxis, Ian, but I can go and have a look, and I can ask around if there's anything in particular. By all means, drop me a message, and I'll go and ask. But I think the pattern of grooming is well established, and using taxis and the taxi sort of taxi drivers and takeaways and those who are involved in that nighttime economy are drawn to it. It's like the scout leaders and whatnot were drawn towards those sorts of positions where they then groomed and raped young boys. You know, none of this is new. You just find a way. Victor, thank you very, very much for... I'm as safe as I can be, Victor. I think I said it earlier on in the transmission. My private life is not a secret at all in terms of my friends and family. I'm a very simple and transparent sort of person when it comes to that. I have a very young daughter who I'm here for, and the only reason, I'll be honest with you, the only reason I'm here and not got on a plane and left is because I have a child who I want to be, I want to be part of her life, and I have a mother who's dying. It's as simple as that. And for those people who try and twist it and say I'm not from Oldham, or I live somewhere else, or I'm from somewhere else, I find it just bizarre, because if you go to any part of our town, there'll be someone who knows me, someone who's worked with me, someone who's worked alongside me, someone who I've helped, someone I've gone to school with. So I find those criticisms of me really, really strange, particularly when they're encouraged by the town's MP, who still has pinned to his Twitter profile an attack on me with a reference to a child protection failure. He's got no evidence of a child protection failure. He won't quantify what the child protection failure was. He's just mudslinging. This is one of the most powerful men in this country. I despair. But what he doesn't like is what I repeat. He's won the election before the polling stations have even opened because of the block postal vote and the block support he gets from the likes of the OBA cartel. There's a reason why he stands there with members of the Awami League or, affiliates of the Awami League. I don't really think they have members like that, but, go to the OBA Community Centre on Vessel Road. Look behind it, you will see a memorial. It's a victory over Pakistan memorial that I never understood at the beginning because I found it divisive right from the beginning in a town such as ours. My Pakistani friends have had nothing to do with the atrocities that happened in the War of Bangladesh independence in 1971 or 72 or whenever it was. But members of the Awami League wanted that memorial built, and my understanding was we paid for it. And they all go and pose outside next to it. They now even have these white politicians that pose next to it. They know what they're doing. They're not stupid. Okay, so as I wrap up, I've got to. I keep promise myself I'll do this properly. So let me do this properly. It is true, just as an update, I am at the police station this coming week. The detective inspector who has looking into my complaints wants to meet with me with the guy in charge. I forget his title, but Mr. Faulkner. So I'm meeting with them on Thursday. I'm hoping someone goes and arrests Neil Wilby for claiming and pushing this fabrication that I'm a police informant. And if anyone speaks to Jim McMahon, Jenny Harrison, or any of the others, why are they engaging and endorsing someone who is trying to have me killed?
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.